My own son called me the problem tenant in front of the HOA president. I stood there, holding the deed in my hand, steady as stone. Instead of arguing, I pulled a single page from my folder and watched their faces fall. That was the day I stopped defending myself and started documenting. The morning began like any other. Quiet. Slow, the kind of peace I used to think would last forever. The air outside was thick with that low-country humidity, the kind that makes your fingers stiff before you even finish your coffee. My house sat by the Ashley River, and the light off the water slipped through my shutters in thin gold lines. I still set 2 mugs on the counter every morning, though my husband's been gone 7 years now. Habit can outlive love, I suppose. I just settled into my favorite chair when my phone buzzed against the table. Well, let's see what fresh nonsense this is, I muttered. I never hurry for texts. Most of them are sale alerts or my church's group thread. But this one had Sable's name flashing across the top. My daughter-in-law, who speaks to me like a public relations officer trapped in a family. Her message blinked open. Plans have changed. You're not going on the cruise. It's only for real families. For a moment, I didn't breathe. The kettle screamed behind me. Forgotten, the smell of burnt coffee filled the kitchen. That word, real, sat on my tongue like a splinter. Who gets to decide what's real? My eyes traced each letter again, hoping it would rearrange itself into something kind, but it didn't. I dialed her number. 2 rings, then silence. I called again. She picked up and hung up mid-sentence. I tried Lowell, my only son. Voicemail. "Leave it, Mom, I'm slammed." The way he said Mom felt like a polite word for stranger. I set the phone down, face to the table. My voice, when I finally spoke, was steady. "All right then," I said to the empty kitchen. "You make your choices. I'll make mine." Outside, the fairy horn blew, deep and distant. I stared at the mug I'd poured for no one. The steam had vanished, but the imprint of heat lingered. I thought of yesterday. Sable at my door, perfume thick enough to choke the truth. She'd called me Eudora in front of the mailman. I'd noticed. I always notice. Last week she said the grandparents and meant only her side. The RSVP form for the cruise never listed my meal preference. "We'll figure it out," she'd said. Translation: "You're not coming." Lowell changed the shared calendar to Harlan Edwards Cruise. Trimming off Vance like pruning a dead branch. I wasn't angry yet, just awake. I walked to my hutch, pulled the accordion folder my husband used to call the fortress, titles, deeds, passwords, all neatly stacked. I opened a new page in my notebook and wrote at the top, Assets and Access. Today, 2 columns, what I fund and what I receive. The imbalance stared back, sharp as a slap. The phone buzzed again. A message from Lowell. "Let's not make this dramatic." My laugh was short. "Dramatic?" I whispered. "Baby, I haven't even started." I typed back 1 sentence. "Please send me the final itinerary in writing. No emojis, no question mark, just business." The reply bubbles appeared, then disappeared. I watched them fade, the way a tide pulls back before the wave hits. I circled Friday, 3 p.m., on my wall calendar, my deadline for answers. Stepping out to the porch, I let the river wind lift my hair. The water moved, slow and sure, explaining nothing. My phone buzzed once more, a notification from social media. "Family cruise, can't wait." The photo loaded slowly, the screen bright against my reflection. Their smiling faces filled the frame. Mine did not. The line I'd written last night, "Get everything in writing," sat bold at the top of my pad. I boxed it in twice. Like a commandment, the house was still except for the tick of the clock and the river wind pressing against the shutters. I circled Friday, 3 p.m., my quiet deadline. Let's not spin, just the facts. I practiced softly. Phrases that sound polite but mean business. No confrontation today, just observation, just evidence. I slipped my phone into my purse, grabbed my reusable grocery bags, and stepped out. "We don't chase people who don't want us," I whispered to the porch rail. "We follow the money and the paper." At the grocery store, the clerk greeted me with a long drawl. "Morning, ma'am." I smiled back. Prices go up, manners stay free, I teased. We laughed about the cost of peaches, $3 a pound and still firm as stones. At the checkout, she reminded me of the senior discount. Honey, inflation doesn't care if you tithe, I said, earning a chuckle. A church friend spotted me near the travel aisle. Heard you're heading somewhere sunny, she asked. I smiled thinly. Plans are fluid. My hand hovered over the sunscreen, then dropped. No sense buying for a trip that wasn't mine. My husband's words echoed, never panic in public, save it for paper. I paid in cash, felt the weight of control in my palm, and drove home with gospel radio humming low. Back in my kitchen, my phone buzzed. I'd been added to a group thread, probably by mistake. My name blinked among Harlan Edwards' family. The messages scrolled. Packing cubes ordered, VIP check-in confirmed, then Sable. She won't make it anyway. A laughing emoji. Another message. Less drama if it's just us. My throat went tight. I didn't reply. I took screenshots, timestamps clear, names visible, hands steady. Proof, not pain. Do not answer inside their theater, I muttered. I jotted a note. Accidental inclusion proves intent. I messaged Sable privately. Please confirm the plan in writing by Friday, 3 p.m. Then Lowell. Loop me on the itinerary email so I can plan rides and meds. No emotion, no guilt, just facts. The bubbles appeared, disappeared, like fish slipping under. I refilled my water glass, the small act of calm. The next blow came faster. A neighbor texted me a link. Saw this? Thought you'd be tagged. It was Sable's Facebook post, a glowing photo of her and Lowell with cruise tags, caption, real families only, finally our time. My chest burned. Comments piled, you deserve it, just the four of you, and her reply, heart emojis. I took another screenshot. Public framing, I wrote under today's date. I turned to my ledger and added a new section. Narrative control, no verbal, paper only, no chasing, no funding without respect. I listed accounts, circled 2 with shared access. I didn't act yet, just circled tomorrow. Watch, don't warn. As evening settled, I poured decaf into my cracked mug. A couple walked their dog, waving from the street. I waved back. Steady. Dignity isn't expensive, I told the porch. It's non-negotiable. Inside. My phone buzzed again. I ignored it. Then a bank alert flashed across the lock screen. Unusual activity detected. I didn't tap. I just reached for my pen and wrote 2 words, call Claudine. The alert from last night blinked on my phone before sunrise. I didn't panic. Panic wastes clarity. Instead, I brewed my coffee, stirred in half a spoon of sugar, and watched the steam curl like thought itself. Ritual first. Ritual equals leverage. Then I opened the bank app. The flagged purchases lined up. Onboard beverage package. Priority excursion fee. Both dated last night. I took screenshots, exported the statement, and labeled the folder Cruise Activity Pending Review. The amounts matched what Sable had posted on Facebook. That alignment between arrogance and arithmetic was what mattered. Facts, not fights, I wrote at the top of my pad. I printed the statement and slid it into a new manila folder. The smell of warm paper always made me think of my late husband, Raymond. He used to say, ink tells the truth long after mouths forget. I highlighted the suspicious charges. Tracing the pattern, tiny test amounts near midnight, larger hits by dawn, it was a rhythm, predictable as tides. I cross-checked the card numbers. 1 under my name, 1 shared. The shared one carried Sable's authorization. I sighed, then wrote down, no confrontation until confirmation. At 8, I called the bank. The young rep sounded cheerful. Practiced. Let's verify you, Miss Vance, she said. I just need your PIN and last deposit. When we cleared security, I asked for the purchase details, device ID, merchant origin. She read them out carefully. The device matched Sable's registered phone. I jotted the time, location, and ticket number. Would you like to freeze the card? She asked. Not freeze, I replied. Just shorten the leash. She laughed softly. Understood. I thanked her. Used her name twice because manners, at any age, are still currency. When I hung up, I opened the desk drawer I hadn't touched since Raymond's funeral. Beneath old insurance forms lay a blue envelope addressed in his careful hand. Eudora, if money ever becomes love's stand-in. I unfolded the page. His script steadied me. Paper first, conversation second. If they choose shame, you choose proof. He'd listed his method. Copies, witnesses, timing, then the line that broke me open and built me again. We do not buy a seat at any table. We build the table. My tears didn't fall. They receded. I placed the letter on the folder like a compass on a map. Next, I changed passwords, phrases only a choir girl could guess. I added backup authentication keys, renamed my card Eudora Personal Only, and redirected alerts to my attorney's email. Then I deleted old merchant tokens. No more auto-pay luxuries on my dime, I whispered. I am not funding disrespect. I texted Sable. Please send the finalized cruise itinerary and payment splits by 3 p.m. today, in writing. To Lowell. Include me in the audit chain. Paper only, no emojis. Just precision. I set an alarm for 2:50. If no reply, step 2. By mid-morning, I walked to the local branch. The manager, Mr. Hightower, greeted me like kin. Morning, Miss Vance. Coffee's fresher than the economy today. I smiled. That's a low bar, dear. He printed and stamped my histories, then offered to remove Sable's access. Soon, I said. After I've lined up my ducks, he nodded. Men of paper understand women of proof. At home, I locked the packet in my glove box. At 2:59, my phone stayed silent. No itinerary, no apology, just a fresh charge from the ship's spa. I didn't sigh. I simply reached for my phone, found the number I hadn't dialed in years, and watched the seconds tick as it rang. When a woman's voice answered, I said clearly, Claudine, it's Eudora. I'm ready to proceed. At 3 o'clock sharp, the clock in my kitchen ticked louder than usual. By 3:07, the silence was an answer. No email. No itinerary. No apology. I drew a firm line under the words facts, not fights, and placed a neat check beside it. The condition wasn't met. I turned my phone to do not disturb, except for my bank and attorney, and felt the weight lift slightly. Outside, a shrimp boat horn carried across the marsh, a deep-throated reminder that movement matters more than noise, I whispered. All right then, and pulled my manila folder toward me. Copies aligned, templates ready. Step 2 began. The first message came not from them, but from an unknown number, a screenshot of Sable's private chat. If she pushes, we'll say it was a mix-up. Keep it cute. My throat went dry. Then, Lowell's text blinked across my screen. Mom, don't make this messy. Sable's stressed. We'll loop you if there's room. The phrasing, polished and false, made my jaw tighten. If there's room, that was the truth behind every polite rejection I'd ever swallowed. I typed 3 lines only. My deadline was 3 p.m. No itinerary arrived. I thought, please keep all communication in writing. He replied with a string of dots. Then, we love you. Don't do anything you'll regret. I took a slow sip of water before replying, I don't regret documentation. I opened my laptop and began drafting. Email 1, to the card issuer. Subject line authorized user removal. Effective immediately. I listed the account suffix and Sable's full name. Email 2, to the bank. Joint linked access review, requesting written confirmation of sole control. Email 3, to the storage company. Personal effects custody notice. My husband always said, precision is the adult form of peace. So I attached every log, ticket number, and screenshot. I ended each message with, please confirm receipt and effective time. I saved PDFs both locally and to an encrypted drive named Porch Table. When I clicked send, it felt like tossing stones into still water, small ripples that would widen on their own. Within minutes, the outbox emptied. I scheduled an auto-generated follow-up from my attorney alias. Then, one final text to Sable. Per written policy, access to my accounts is now limited to me. Any charges in my name will be disputed. I logged the time, took a screenshot, and waited. 5 minutes later, the bank replied, authorized user removed, alert routing updated. I printed the confirmation and clipped it to the right-hand side of the folder. Right side means done. I moved through my safety routine next. merchant caps set to $1 at cruise line vendors, alerts forwarded to Claudine under subject status live. I turned my doorbell notifications on and texted my neighbor, "Mr. Harrison, quick heads up, busy weekend here, all well." His reply came instantly. "Got you, Miss Vance." A net around my porch, just as planned. I slid the folder into the fireproof box and turned the key. Paper first, then power. As dusk settled, I brewed chicory coffee, a small ritual of reward. I reread Raymond's letter, the one that now lived in the folder's top pocket. His handwriting had faded slightly from summer humidity, but his words still rang. "We do not buy a seat at any table. We build the table." I smiled, underlining it once more. I wrote a short note for tomorrow. Call Claudine at 9, storage at 11, realtor at 2. Then I stepped onto the porch. The air thick with cicadas and salt. I breathed. Slow, steady, deliberate. The phone buzzed again. "Lowell, you didn't have to go nuclear." Before I could reply, another alert popped up. Bank notification, attempted charge declined. Onboard spa. I turned off the porch light, set my mug down, and said softly to the dark, "Paper first." I woke before the alarm, the house still wrapped in early light. Coffee first, strong, black, no sugar. I laid out my walking shoes and my leather folio. Each item deliberate, each chosen for work, not comfort. Claudine's overnight email blinked on the screen. Bullet points, times, names. I printed 2 exhibits, one for finances, one for property, and placed a blue ink pen across the top. Text to Mr. Harrison, out most of the day. Expect a vendor truck. His reply came back fast. "I'll keep an eye." My phone showed no new charges after yesterday's declined spa payment. The system held. I touched the fireproof box and whispered my husband's words. "We build the table." Claudine's office smelled faintly of lemon polish and confidence. We skipped greetings. She slid a folder toward me marked access control. I initialed beside each line, notice language, custody chain. Verified timestamps. Claudine reviewed my drafts, adjusted the legal tone. "Clean," she said. "Precise." I liked that. She drafted a memo titled Sale of Investment Property. Nothing emotional, just terms and lawful rights. Then she called a locksmith herself, booked for 1:30 at the West Ashley House, and pulled another name from her list, a realtor named Waverly Klein. "She's quick, discreet," Claudine said. "You'll like her style." I nodded. At my age, efficiency feels like grace. Waverly's office was tidy, cool, with walls the color of beach fog. She spoke numbers like they were gospel. Square footage, sold prices, market days. "You've got solid equity," she said. "Quiet listings move faster." I approved her whisper price strategy. No signs, no gossip, only pre-qualified buyers. She mentioned a bump in value from the new granite counters and refinished floors. I smiled. I'd written that check myself. She sent the pre-listing agreement to my phone. I read every clause before signing. Minutes later, her text came. Photographer booked for 3:15. One buyer already curious, the current ran under my calm. Momentum disguised as still water at store safe. The manager greeted me like he'd been briefed. "Miss Vance," Claudine called ahead. We handled forms with a rhythm that felt military. I rented a climate-controlled unit, added a clause requiring inventory photos, and signed the chain of custody log. 2 stamped copies, one for me, one for Claudine. Tomorrow's moving crew was scheduled, 10 a.m. Pack and hold. I bought 2 cylinder locks, tested them, wrote a short line in my planner. All belongings secured at store safe. Paid through next month. The keys fit neatly in a small zip pouch. Power looks like paper, but it feels like metal in your hand. The locksmith met me early under the shade of a live oak. "You the homeowner?" he asked. "Yes," I said simply. He replaced front, back, and garage locks, efficient and silent. I walked the perimeter, took photos of mail, the stoop, the empty driveway, inside. The air smelled faintly of lemon cleaner and distance. I didn't touch a thing, just documented. The locks turned smooth, the bolts firm. He handed me 3 sets, and I labeled them with calm precision. Owner, realtor, storage team. As I signed his invoice, my phone buzzed. Waverly's photographer 15 minutes out. The young man arrived with a wide lens and polite eyes. "Beautiful light in here," he said. I nodded, opening blinds, adjusting one towel. Nothing personal. We removed family frames. Neutral cells. He moved quickly, respectful. I texted Waverly 3 notes. Natural light, floors, updated bath. Her reply was instant, green check. Buyers will bite. When we finished, I locked up. Placed Waverly's key in a magnetic box under the gas meter and logged every timestamp in my folio. Driving away, the sun stretched across the marsh road. My dashboard lit with a text from Lowell. "Mom, neighbors say a locksmith was at our place. What are you doing?" I parked under an oak, opened my folio, and began to type the cleanest sentence of my life. I parked 2 houses down, engine quiet, air thick as syrup. Waverly's buyer was due at noon, and I wanted no confusion about who controlled the porch. I counted my breaths, 4 in, 4 out, slow as smooth, blinds half open, porch light burning at midday, Amazon slip curled on the step. Each detail meant carelessness, not confidence. I took photos, time-stamped, and turned on the voice memo app. Claudine stayed on silent standby. My folio waited on the seat beside me. Paper first, voice last, I reminded myself. The phone buzzed with another declined cruise charge. Good. Systems held. I texted Waverly. Front is quiet. Buyer ETA. Her reply, 12:05. Away notified. I smiled. Backup was already on the way. Miss Ellington from the HOA appeared first. Clipboard under one arm. Lipstick precise. "Miss Vance, you're still the owner of record, yes?" she said loud enough for every porch on the street. I handed her a copy of the deed and the buyer notice. She nodded, eyes sharp. "We'll ensure order today," I wrote the quote in my log. Then Sable's white SUV jerked into the drive, music thudding. Lowell climbed out first, palms up like a peace offering. "We can talk inside," he said. I stayed planted on the sidewalk. "We'll talk here." I angled my stance so Miss Ellington's clipboard stayed visible in frame. "Let's not make a scene," Lowell murmured. "Scenes are for theaters," I said, tapping the HOA form. "This is notice." Waverly's car rounded the corner right on cue. "Optics belong to me now." Sable's voice dropped to syrup. "Mama Eudora, the cruise got complicated. We were just trying to keep things simple." I placed my phone on the porch rail, screen glowing. "Our agreement was an itinerary by Friday. You sent real family instead." Lowell jumped in. "She didn't mean it that way." I met his eyes. "Then she can clarify. Right now." My tone cut clean. No access, no keys, no charges in my name, and no entry without my realtor present. Miss Ellington cleared her throat. Audience enough. Waverly texted, "Buyer 2 minutes. Timing was my co-counsel." Sable's smile twitched. Her gaze flicked toward the garage camera. Guilt caught in glass. I pressed record. "You can record too," I said evenly. Sable exhaled, annoyed. "We just wanted time with real family," I repeated. "Real family meaning without me present?" "Yes, obviously," she snapped. Silence held like humidity. I stopped the recording, forwarded the clip to Claudine with the subject confession, 023. Seconds later, read receipt confirmed. I dialed the cruise concierge, gave my name, requested cancellation of all add-ons billed to my card. They verified the prior dispute and logged today's note. Lowell hissed. "You don't have to make this punitive," I replied. "I make things documented." Waverly stepped forward. Professional smile in place. "Preview appointment," she announced. "Miss," Ellington gestured politely, "owner of record says proceed." The theater closed. Business opened. Inside, I unlocked the door with my labeled realtor key. Sable reached for the knob. I blocked gently. "You're welcome to wait outside." The buyer toured rooms while I pointed out light angles and flooring. Voice level as a ledger. I texted Claudine. Confession captured. Buyer impressed. Waverly whispered. "Cash ready. 3-week close." I nodded. Calm surface. Deep current. Outside. Sable paced while Lowell muttered to no one. "This is insane." We ended with Waverly's crisp promise. "You'll hear by end of day." Back on the porch, I handed Sable a single page, the custody notice for personal effects. You do not have my permission to use my home or my name." Her eyes flashed. "You're punishing us." I met her stare. "I'm protecting me." Lowell tried the threat du jour, competency review. I slid across my latest medical screen. "Bring counsel, bring facts." Miss Ellington scribbled orderly on her sheet. I watched her pen move. Proof enough. I locked the door, the metal click sounding like justice itself. As I reached my car, Waverly's message chimed. "Offer at asking. All cash. 3-week close. Do you authorize?" I looked back at the porch rail where my phone had captured the truth and whispered the only word that mattered. Yes. I woke early, the light on the marsh already yellowing through the blinds. The first email waiting was from Waverly. Offer accepted. All cash. Proof of funds attached. I read it twice before calling her. "Morning, Waverly. Coffee's on. Send the docs. I'll sign on my desktop. Not this phone." Her voice came calm and bright. "Congratulations, Miss Vance. 21-day close." I smiled at the quiet power of paper doing what emotion couldn't. I forwarded the packet to Claudine. Review. Sale plus possession plan. 48H. Then checked my bank. The cruise charges now reversed, time-stamped and clean. I listed chores on a yellow pad, locks, utilities, mail forward, storage schedule. Do you miss? Ellington got a short text. "Offer in, realtor at 3. Owner of record remains me until closing." The line felt ceremonial. I attached the file name of Sable's recorded, real family confession to Claudine's legal bundle. It was ready to move. By 10, I signed the offer and possession addendum. 48 hours for Sable and Lowell to collect their items under escort. Claudine sent a draft titled, "No contact and trespass notice. Every sentence sharp as a gavel. Any entry or use beyond scheduled retrieval constitutes trespass." She arranged a civil standby with Charleston PD for that afternoon. Standard, polite. I printed a 1-page chain of custody checklist and clipped a pen to it. No heat, no vengeance. Just schedule and courtesy. "This is notice," I practiced aloud, the cadence of elders who learn not to waste breath. Waverly received my next message. "After police standby, place Supra lockbox. Rekey tomorrow 9 a.m. By noon." The neighborhood turned, Miss. Ellington's HOA board log now listed noise violations and parking tickets tied to tenant occupants, not owner. The narrative flipped without a word from me. Armand Pike waved from his mailbox. "Heard you're selling, Miss Vance. Good for you." I answered the way older women do when they've survived storms. "Peace costs, baby, but it's worth market value." The HOA posted a polite bulletin. "Owner scheduling realtor showings. Please keep access clear." I photographed it for my ledger. A small satisfaction stitched in proof. Then came Claudine's forward. Cruise line letterhead. Embossed apology. "We regret the distress caused by internal miscommunication. Onboard charges fully reversed." Attached was a travel credit in my name. I printed it, slid it behind the deed copy, smiled at the order restored. "Folks me," I murmured for the camera later. "Keep receipts. The world listens to paper." At the rental, 2 officers stood by as the civil standby began. Claudine, Waverly, and I arrived 5 minutes early. "Morning, officers," I said. "It will be brief." Ground rules stated. Labeled boxes only. 30 minutes, no fixtures. Sable appeared pale but defiant. Lowell tried diplomacy that couldn't breathe under procedure. I handed her the chain of custody sheet and blue painter's tape. Label. Sign. Initial. She stared at me, then at the officers, then began. Among their boxes sat a beach tote, sun lotion still tucked in. I kept my composure. "Strategy isn't emotionless. It's measured pain," Lowell muttered. "You really cancel family over one text?" I said evenly. "I cancel access when access is abused." No one argued after that. HOA fines hit next. Official email showing charges reassigned to them. Claudine filed a demand for reimbursement with Sable's recorded audio transcript attached. The cruise line's apology stayed sealed in counsel's folder. A neighbor sent a screenshot from the same chat group. "It was a misunderstanding. We're sorting it." I didn't reply. Silence was my closing argument. By late afternoon, Waverly's office buzzed with logistics. Inspection waived, title search clear, estoppel ordered. I signed the moving order for my stored items. Nothing of theirs would remain. Claudine confirmed the 60-day no-contact clause. I drove to the marsh overlook and let the salt air loosen my chest. The Lord didn't bring me this far to drop me here, I whispered. I texted my friends. Offer accepted, I'm okay. That night, I filmed a note for my viewers. If they tell you you're not real family, believe them and protect your name. Keep the paper trail. Talk like a contract. Love yourself like a boundary. I slipped the apology and offer into a red folder labeled Dignity on my fridge. A postcard read, Sea air heals slow. Just before bed, Waverly texted, Buyer requests early access for contractor walkthrough tomorrow 8 a.m. You or me? I looked at the porch keys, then the red folder. My fingers typed steady. You. I'll be at the bank at 8. I arrived at the bank just before 8. The sky pale gold over Charleston. The teller greeted me by name, that small-town warmth I'd grown up valuing. I placed the red Dignity file on the counter and asked to verify account holds. No pending transactions. Cruise reversals fully processed. She printed a balance slip and wire authorization blank. I folded both into my folio. I called Waverly. Contractor walkthrough is yours. Text me only if structural. Then to Claudine. Green light for trust funding after closing. My pockets carried proof of self, ID, deed copy, trust draft, cashier's check for utilities. Before stepping back into the morning, I told myself quietly, we sign so feelings can't rewrite facts. At the title office, Claudine spread documents across the table. The irrevocable trust, tabbed, notarized, final. I read line by line. My name as grantor. A successor trustee already named. Sable and Lowell excluded as beneficiaries. I paused there, letting the words mean what they meant. The bequests went where healing lived. Church scholarships, maternal health fund, small arts grant for seniors. A no-challenge clause sealed the door. Contestants get $1 and pay their own legal bills. That'll hold, Claudine said softly. It's not spite, I replied. It's structure. I signed and initialed every page. The proceeds would wire straight into the trust. I would never touch them personally. For the audience later, I knew I'd say, a trust keeps storms offshore. Mid-morning, Waverly texted, walkthrough started. A photo followed, Sable outside the gate, trying to tag along. I could almost hear her pitch. Waverly's caption read, Access denied per addendum, miss. Ellington appeared curbside, clipboard in hand, HOA rules visible from 10 feet away. I smiled at that quiet choreography of order. Lowell's number flashed on my phone. I sent it to voicemail. My text reply was 2 words, counsel only. Waverly's next photo showed a scuffed baseboard. I authorized a small credit. Keep it smooth, I typed. Pragmatism is its own form of peace. By noon. The conference room turned solemn again. Claudine handed me another document, the judge's signed injunction. Civil harassment, 60 days minimum, extendable. Attached was the counsel-to-counsel letter, the audio confession, HOA incident log, account access timeline. It demanded their written acknowledgement forfeiting any claim to residence or contribution. If they want a fight, Claudine said, they'll have to pay for it. I signed my part of the closing packet. Deed, affidavits, tax forms. The title officer verified wire transfer into the trust, confirming receipt. Congratulations, Miss Vance, she said. I thanked her, then added, no drama, just order. Claudine sent the injunction notice to their attorney, attaching the line that ended months of turmoil. Future contact through arbitration only. Late afternoon light slanted across the porch as I placed the final house key into Waverly's palm. The Supra lockbox chimed. A neat, digital goodbye across the street. Armand Pike raised his coffee cup. You did right, Miss Vance. I smiled. Sometimes the win is quiet. Miss Ellington stopped by to thank me for cooperation. I thanked her for her documentation. Paper kept us neighborly, I said. One last photo of the marshlight, Then I turned the lens toward the road and walked away. At the church lot, the day softened. I handed the cruise certificate to the senior ministry leader. "Use it for the widow's trip," I said. She hugged me tight. "You're coming, right?" I shook my head gently. "I'm buying my own ticket. I'm not anyone's plus one." Back home, I told the camera, "Love is a verb, so are boundaries." I stored the dignity file in my safe, brewed chamomile tea, and set Ella Fitzgerald low on the radio. An hour before sunset, Claudine's email arrived. Their lawyer accepted the injunction and withdrew all occupancy claims. A second message from the cruise line followed. Upgrade confirmed. Solo cabin apology accepted. My doorbell rang, certified mail addressed to Sable, unpaid HOA fines. I smiled. Texted Miss Ellington. Forwarded, my phone buzzed once more. Lowell, no lawyer copied. "Mom, can we talk?" I looked at the screen, then at my tidy list for tomorrow. My answer typed itself. "Counsel only, baby, paper first." As dusk deepened, I watched the marsh shimmer, peaceful, but never still. My phone lit again. A voicemail from an unknown number, the same area code as the trust bank. A pause, then a woman's voice. "Mrs. Vance, we need to discuss a signature discrepancy." I froze mid-sip. "What signature?"